Keith Cowing joins us now. He's a former NASA rocket scientist and the editor of NASAWatch.com. Keith, thanks for being with us again. First, in your eyes, talk about the excitement, the achievements of today, of what we just saw.
Well, I've had the training in the centrifuge and microgravity, and I'm a senior citizen, so I'm here to tell you that anybody can do this. What it shows is, although you see the aspect of the billionaires and the money and so forth, that's how a lot of these things start. If you look at the airline industry, it used to be rich people drinking champagne, and then somebody found a cheap way to do it. Before that, the billionaires and their railroads and so forth. But usually what happens is once an idea catches on, somebody finds out how to do it cheaper for more people. And that's likely what this flight, although it's not the first suborbital flight, other people have done similar things, but it's the first time somebody built a company to do this and then got in and did it. And so hopefully this will spur more people to want to do this, and somehow others will join in and say, I can do it cheaper, and then therefore fly more people.
So speaking of relatability, how long before this comes something that is within reach of perhaps not everyone, but a significant amount of people?
Well, there's a few hundred people that have put money down to fly, and that's at about 250 per flight, 250,000. So he's going to fly them, and he may raise the price, but he's talked about lowering it at some point. Now, if I had gone to cover this, I would have raised my hand and said, well, when will it be cheaper for everybody? But it may not just be Branson who has to say in this, because Mr. Bezos is flying his flights, and Elon Musk. Now, they're all rich, they're billionaires, they know how to make money, and the money comes from customers who keep buying their things. So sometimes you just price a product that maybe you're still pouring money into, but you want to do it to develop the customer base. One of these guys is going to say, I'm going to cut the price to get more people in. It'll happen at some point when it becomes obvious that there's a competition going on, and then we'll see what happens. Given that there's millions of millionaires, there is going to be no shortage of people who can afford to do this. The trick is to get them to do it and then say, hey, how about everybody else?
And so I imagine that the goal is to turn space tourism into an industry. What sort of numbers are we looking at?
Well, again, at the current price, this is a millionaire sort of thing. There are millions of millionaires in the world. So right off the bat, if 1 or 2% of them, you've got some real money. But it's also not that different from some other things. I lived at Everest Base Camp for a month while other people climbed the mountain, and that's similarly expensive and exclusive, but more and more people are now doing it. And so I think at some point you just have to have the intersection of the right cost and whether it's something that people want to do. And space movies are popular, and every time NASA does a big mission, or China or someone else, new viewership records are set. So the interest is out there. I guess the real trick is just wiring it all together.
Now, this is all private. To what extent is this significant for potential private-public cooperation?
Well, that's the interesting thing, right? Because what they did is they many times took old NASA technology and did it better and brought some other things in. And if you look at the rockets that Blue Origin or Virgin Galactic or SpaceX are flying, they have a very science fiction look to them, because that was the inspiration for doing this. And the implications are very simple. On this flight, there was scientific experiments bought and paid for by NASA. Blue Origin has already flown some suborbital flights. SpaceX certainly has. And so there will always be a mix of the public and the private, but these flights may end up being really cheaper compared to what NASA pays for, and NASA's budgets are always something that they complain about. It may well be the cheaper way to do stuff is to just buy private flights. Indeed, that is where NASA says it's going. So this is one more step in that direction, even though not a penny was spent on this of taxpayer dollars.
Keith Cowing from NASAWatch.com, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.